Hello and welcome to lovely Wisconsin for week 11 of Endurance for Amateurs. I'm joined by Zachary Purcell tonight, and we're going to watch cars go racing round in circles for 100 minutes.
I'm excited to be here for this race. It's a pretty important track in America for road racing, and we're getting pretty close to the finale of the season. So especially after this race is when we really start to see the positions shake out with the drop weeks coming into effect.
For sure. How you mentioned the very, very important track in America. This track opened in the 50s, 1955. So it's been around a while.
Yeah, the U.S. is definitely low on like history, old road tracks. A lot of them are relatively new compared to some really old ones you can find in like Australia or Europe, and so it's cool to have a storied one to have for American races, and they run all kinds of stuff there. Obviously not just GT3 stuff. They do NASCAR, IndyCar. It's a all-purpose track.
It sure is. Now, what's your favorite turn on this track, and what's your least favorite turn? Because I know I have a few favorites and least favorites.
Well, I mean, I think everyone loves the carousel. Of course, the carousel, and then immediately followed by the kink. Those are both really challenging turns to figure out the fastest way through, but it's a lot of fun. Certainly nothing like the carousels in the Nürburgring, but named the same. But they take a lot of practice and a lot of different, experimentation to figure out the fastest way through. I hate I don't believe it has a name, but the corner underneath the sign, turn 6. That's just a blind apex over a hill. I hate that one. It's horrible. It's so difficult, especially when you're trying to learn the track. That's this right here. You can't. You started turning. You still can't see the apex. I hate that one. I'm not good at this track. I'll be upfront with that. I am very bad at this track, but I do respect its qualities.
Yeah, I like this track to watch, not so much to race. Actually, contrary to your opinions, Carousel is one of my lower ranking corners on this track out of all 14. And I think my favorite corner might just have to be turn 1. It's just such a fast, nice, flowing corner as we see Keith Roycroft going through it in a Porsche tonight.
Yeah, turn 1 is one of many that's very you have to be very patient to really nail it, or else you'll be going out wide. There's a lot of opportunities here to understeer and drive out wide just based on the geometry of the corners.
Is another one of the fun corners here where you can easily pick up a 1X is right here where Keith Roycroft is going through now. If you go out a little wide, you can use all of that black curb there, but if you dip a tire in the grass, you're going to end up with a 1X. And it's easy to overshoot.
Even the entry as well, as you want to use as much of the entry as possible. It's all pavement to the right, and so you can overstep it by using too much corner entry as well. It's a tough corner, but it's one that I think is fair. The last section, which actually right there just saw Terry Kiger Jr. spin in, but the last section has a couple really tough turns, including the one that's at the end of the longest straight. That one, it's just, I think we'll see it. I just saw it there with Terry, and I think you'll see it with others. It just causes the cars to kind of get a little unsettled when it drops down into a small dip, and you get some oversteer. And especially in the first few laps, I wouldn't be shocked to see a car spun there in corner 12, Canada corner.
Corner 12. Now, corner 14. Very, very important, leaning into this very, very long straight as we see our defending winner Keith Roycroft going on. Right, well, I guess he was. I talked to him earlier. He said he wasn't really thinking he was going to be able to get another victory tonight with his times, but he's topped the timing board in qualifying, so you think he has a chance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he tries to downplay it, but he was one of the few drivers in practice that was up there near the top. Again, I think Curry was the fastest of the GTDM during practice, but Roycroft was just on the door of getting into the 203s, which was his goal, and he's now just barely slipped through there to take provisional pole with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, very well done by him. Now, 203.9 for pole, just an M. Last time we came here in Season 3 of E4A, the fastest lap, now you may remember better than I do, but there may have been a setup difference. The fastest lap in GT3 was a 206.0 set by Aaron Claybaugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it should be. I mean, they have less fuel than they did last season, but that's a pretty big gap. So it must be the update since then. As he takes a little tiny spin there.
That could also play into it.
But the pole position that Terry Cogger has right now over the rest of the field is pretty mighty. Again, we saw during our interview last week that Ryan Tyler was one that really wanted to bring the fight to Terry for this week. And we have a couple other very capable drivers up there. Patrick Ripley has been one of the fastest throughout the season, and Paul Skip with his best qualifying performance so far. But no one's even close to Terry. No one is even close to getting into the 202s, which Terry's in. So he put that down as his very first timed qualifying lap. And it's kind of basically, he's done some other laps and stuff, but for the most part, he's kind of just chilled out for this qualifying session, as no one has been able to even approach that time.
Now, that's really impressive from Terry, especially considering we have the inside information. He's not feeling well, and his state is also about to be hit by a hurricane. So, he's looking to take that 8th win of the season, and he's on track, if he wins the next 3 races, to get the maximum points possible in a season with the 4 drop weeks.
Yeah, it's possible for him to do that, and it'd be very impressive showing to do that. As far as like counting like the full races, he's just short of being able to pass Dennis Diaz's record of percentage of races won. But some of that has been out of his control. But that just happens in a season. Things come up that you don't expect.
Yeah, he's won 50% of all the season races. No, there's only 13. Scratch that. He's won 50% of all the races almost this season, but 70% of all the races that we've completed. So he's just behind Dennis in that regard.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive run that he's had. It looks like he's going to be pretty strong in this race as well. No one's infallible, so he's got a great time on qualifying. It doesn't mean it's just a shoe-in automatic win for him, because he could make a mistake. It could be something that's totally not his fault, and something happens in front of him with like a lapped car. So certainly don't write this one away before the race has even started.
It's never something you can do, especially if Terry puts it on pole, because at least down in the GTDM, only one person at one race has the person that started on pole taken the victory, and that was Christopher Newby at Bathurst.
Yeah, and he rarely, that was a rare pole for him too. He usually qualifies around like where here he is at like 5th. It was almost out of character for him to get a pole position for that race, although we've seen him win plenty.
He definitely has won his fair share of races. He has won 5 out of the 10 that we've completed, so 50%. And just to put that in perspective, he is 53 points ahead of second place in the championship, and that'd be James Foreman with no poles, no wins, and 3 podiums.
Yeah, Foreman's had a really consistent season. I can say that having run the numbers, Newby is basically just 2 points. He's 2 points away from sealing the championship away. So what that means is that if he just gets, for example, any amount of safety points in this race, it's locked. Christopher Newby's won the championship for GTDM. Of course, there's a couple, he has the Ironman bonus right now, which is a bonus for racing in every race, at least 5 laps. So if he were to not show up to one of the last couple races and there's all kind of permutations, but for everything that matters, if he just gets safety points, he's sealed the season.
Well, that's looking pretty good for him. Now, GTD Pro is not quite as sealed. Terry Calgary Jr. is leading with 414 points, but right behind, 16 points back, with 398 points, is Tyler Langenberg. So, just to put that in perspective, how consistent Tyler's been this season. Terry has 6 wins and 7 podiums, so 1 podium that wasn't a win. Tyler has only won once, but he stood on the podium 4 times other than his win, and he's only 16 points behind Terry with 6 wins. So that's a really, really consistent season from Tyler. Oh, as that is Claybaugh causing some ruckus in qualifying.
Yeah, Tyler's had a very good season. It probably will start to get worse though as the drop weeks come into effect. At the very least for this next couple, because the lowest remaining point total that Tyler Langenberg has for a race is from Nürburgring, where he had 36 points of a maximum 49, not including the safety points, because those don't drop. And Terry has 2 races, both Nürb and Daytona, at 24 points. So already off the bat, the next drop, Terry gains like 12 points, and then the next one he gains like 14 or like it. So Terry needs to have some bad races for these last few for Tyler to have a chance. Just because Tyler's not going to have any bad races really to get taken off the record.
Yeah, especially that's what I was saying with his perfect season. He can drop all of the 4 non-win races, and he can win the next 3, and he'll have the perfect 9 wins over the season. Terry will.
Yeah, it's possible. And Newbie also has the capability of podiuming every race post drop weeks as well.
So we've got some close things to look forward to, I suppose, as qualifying wraps up here. Christopher Craig and that green Mercedes on his final lap. He's gonna
An interesting one to look at while we're going through these is after these drop weeks, provided he's able to show up to all the remaining races and does well in this one, is Ryan Tyler, who currently sits 5th, and he's 109 scoring ones that he missed. So Spa only 10 points, Mid Ohio only 12. So like those 2 are going to get dropped, as well as Monza, which has already been dropped, and he'll shoot up the standings with that.
For sure. Right now, that 5th and 6th place, I believe, are separated only by 2 points between Ryan Tyler and Paul Skip. So even if not for the drop weeks, they have an on-track battle tonight to come out on top.
And speaking of on-track battles for the bracket that we have, the two head-to-heads that we're keeping an eye out for on this, we have Richard Curry versus Jeff McDonald, who Curry in really good form in qualifying here. Again, had the fastest practice time for GTDM, is just a little bit behind Keith Roycroft for 2nd in qualifying. And then Terry Calgary Jr. and Paul Skip, who are conveniently 1-2 for our race today as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight. Now, we've got that bracket going, and the winner of that, I feel like we've gone over this a million times. I'm not sure what they get, but they do get some sort of recognition for winning the bracket. So I'm sure they're going to be racing hard for that.
Yeah, it's just it's a fun little thing to have, mid-season, rather than it just being everyone focusing on the end of the year results.
Well, we have our gridding coming up very soon, and we'll get that grid to you when it's available. Other than that, we're gonna get prepared for 100 minutes of racing.
Yeah, it's a tough track. It's one that I don't think we'll see a ton of crashing out on. You never want to see that. I don't think we'll see that a lot, but there's a lot of places to spin, and inevitably when there's somewhere to spin, there's somewhere for you to hit a spun car.
Yes, we saw that in turn 1, not too long ago. But here's our grid for the night. Terry Calgert Jr. sticks it on pole, as if anybody's surprised, by 5/10 to Paul Skip. Patrick Ripley follows him, followed by Ryan Tyler, Will Borland, Marcus Osborne, Nick Paletti, Sasha Kempter, Tyler Langenberg, Don McCloy, Keith Roycroft, and Adrian Garcia Vahil.
Following them, we have Paul Boyle starting in 13th, who I know is also sick. Got some illness going around. Followed by Aaron Claybaugh, Richard Curry, John Kelly, Michael De La Sala, Christopher Newby, who is trying to seal away GTDM this race, Dan Real, James Foreman, Andrew Neri, Brad McCombs, Jeff McDonald, and Donovan Johnston.
And following them, Daniel Hangley, Ryan Glover, Zach Nurnberger, Christopher Craig, Gareth McAllister, Stephen Shepard, and a new name, Joel Lee. So, a wonderful race heating up here tonight. Take a look at the overview here. 100-minute race, 40-minute qualifying with fixed setups and a 50% fuel cap.
Pretty decent track temp as well. 86 shouldn't be too tough, but there's a lot of right turns that beat up the left tire on this track. So this will be one that, you know, the tire game was huge last week at Fuji. I would imagine that if it heats up some more, and maybe even if it doesn't, that the tires will be in effect with turns 1, 3, the carousel, the final turn. They're all ones that can really beat up on it.
They for sure are. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. I've seen a lot of good racing at this track. I've participated in some good racing. I don't usually come out that well, but I think this would be a great race. It's not the widest track in the world, but there are a lot of passing opportunities if you're fast enough.
There sure are. So let's get going. I'm seeing some Sasha Kempter, Marcus Osborne crashed on my thing here. Hopefully that's just a lie. I heard there was some lap 1 or formation lap drama that we didn't catch last week. But I guess it wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah, there was a collision on the formation lap that we didn't catch on the broadcast. Although the driver who would be getting a penalty for that is not at this race, so may see one in the future for that event from last week.
All right, so we've got our formation lap, and then we'll be going for 100 minutes of racing. That's a lot. Can't wait.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is this is one where they do a full lap of pace lap. I mean, you know, it's realistic, but you know, it's a bit of a wait for us.
It's better than if we were to do it at, say, I don't know, Nürburgring. So, no incident there. Just iRacing.
Trying to trick you.
Yep. Figured we'd take a look at it, just in case there was.
But yeah, I mean, you touched on it during the qualifications, but it's the Porsche wave is happening. I mean, everyone's switching over to the Porsche one that was like only used by a few people at the start of the year, and it was mostly guys who just, you know, they liked the Porsche. That was the car that they drove before. Even Paul Skip, who is in the Porsche right now, he'd sworn it off after the practice race. He switched to a different car, but now everyone's seeing, I guess, what Terry sees, and they're switching over to it. But still, they're not as fast as him.
Yeah, the first 7 people in GTD Am are all Porsches. We've got one Lamborghini, a Ferrari, then back to Porsche.
Yeah, I don't even remember any Porsches running in Am at the start of the season except for Tony Watson. That's the only one I can remember.
That's all I remember.
But the Lamborghini is the one that in real life holds the track record, so maybe Donovan Johnston's got the answer.
It's possible. We've had one Lamborghini win so far this season. I believe that would have been, I'm not sure. But we have a Lamborghini win this season in AM, 3 BMW wins, 2 Ferrari, 2 Merc, and 2 Porsche wins. It's not as a spread when it comes to GTD Pro. As I mentioned earlier, there are 7 Porsche wins and a few BMW and Merc.
Yeah, even Tyler Langenberg in the Porsche today. He's won the BMW every race this season and has been really carrying those BMW points for the most part. But he is going to be in that Porsche. And Will Borland is also in the Porsche, who has been in the BMW and Merc before.
Yeah, so surely there's something we're not seeing on screen that's just triggered a change.
I'm seeing Terry with a half-second lead on quals. That's what I'm seeing.
Well, surely it's not just Terry's dominance that's changing everybody. Well, possibly, though. Patrick Ripley's sticking to the Audi.
Coming up to the green pretty soon here. Be at the top of the hill.
Terry Kegger Jr. is going to lead them away. We can see that flag raised in the air. And there they go. No passing into turn 1. Trying to keep it clean.
Turn 3,
Till after turn 3. All right. So, Patrick Ripley pulling up to the right to get a better look at the braking zone, but can't make any passes yet. Looks pretty clean all the way through.
And then here's turn 3, so they're able to race now after this turn here.
Passing is now permitted. Patrick Ripley gets a good exit. He's looking to make it work on Paul Skip early on.
He's going to try it for sure.
Already side by side. I think the outside line is what you want for this corner, but both lines are pretty equal.
And he's already ahead before that even matters, really. Although Skip's going to find him back on it. Just going to try, but yeah, can't quite do it on the inside like that. You know,
Skip's
the
going
outside is where you want to be.
Look at Tyler shake that rear end there. Almost hit Will Borland. All right, further back.
Ahead by Terry.
Yeah, that Florida Wi-Fi. That's James Foreman. And
oh, Ripley almost lost it into the grass there.
I believe that's newbie. There's so many new liveries this week, it's kind of hard to keep track of. But lots of battling. I see that one Kraken livery there. I know that's Daniel Hingley. Ooh, Hingley and Neri. And who else was caught up in that?
Foreman was ahead of it, but I don't know who got caught behind.
Hingley and Neri got tapped, but he's all right, I think.
Yeah, that was Neri heading forward at least.
Really, really tight. That's Johnston and Zach Nurnberger in the Japanese BMW today. Gareth McAllister still rocking the Ford.
Oh, that's a big crash. That's not Del Sol. That was
Glover.
Oh yeah, 'cause he's in a different. Oh yeah, that was Christopher Craig and Ryan Glover there, getting collected after the kink.
Luckily, only really takes out one person, and he doesn't have a lot of damage. It was just a big spin. So probably the best case scenario you can have when spinning there. That's Sasha Kempter blinking a little bit on Nick Paletti. Nick Paletti, I had a stat about him.
There goes Langenberg through.
Nick Paletti is our safest driver this season. He's only missed out on that safety bonus once.
Doesn't surprise me.
I believe he's the person who won the safety award last year as well.
Yes.
Well, tied for it, but won by default.
Yeah, Sasha Kempter also in Florida, having the same issues that Terry's having. So hopefully that the real life situations of that hurricane don't affect anything, but it's certainly making them hard to see.
It sure is.
Going on Gareth McAllister.
So we'll focus on these two right now as they go side by side. Gareth McAllister using a lot of that track right there. I don't know if that's an off track or not, but worked to his advantage anyways.
It is at a certain point, but he didn't get it.
Well, managed well, made that defense or move. I'm not sure where he started, but made it well. And he's ahead of Christopher Craig.
All over Curry right now.
Let's see if we can find him. There he is.
He was just 2/10 back from Curry going into the carousel. Naturally, through that, you get some aero wash and you kind of have to fall back. But he's able to follow really close right now. Although he's got Dan Real on his tail.
I really enjoy Real's livery there. Nicely simplistic, but does it well at the same time.
And there's Newbie. Newbie's on him. That's a close train. All four Porsches there, very close to each other. It's helped Roycroft pull a little bit of a gap for the lead for him.
There's Roycroft in his classic green, black, and white. But this time a Porsche, no longer his BMW. Paul Boyle follows him. And teammate Claybaugh behind Boyle.
Here's Real going on De La Salle there. He's pulling out to the side down the straight. Being on the inside here is certainly nice.
Newbie in the background looking to make up a place if one of them makes a mistake. Really close through turn one. Newbie's going to capitalize on that. And De La Salle is going to be down 2 positions by the time that corner ends.
Yep, De La Salle fought it a little bit too much, and it ended up meaning that if he lost, he was going to have all that momentum that he lost, and Newbie was going to be able to take advantage as well. So that's -2 positions in one corner.
And he did it well, though. Newbie did. Saw his opportunity and went for it.
And Skip right there is looking for an opportunity as well. Not been leaving Ripley alone after Ripley was able to get around lap 1.
Oh, he has been relentless, and he's looking to maybe get a little extra points and sneak out that 5th place.
And they're not falling back, 5/10 a lap like they were gap-wise in quals to Terry Kiger Jr. Terry's ahead, but Ripley's kept it sub 1 second even with Skip on his rear. So maybe just some managing going on, but it's evened out a little bit as far as race pace.
Yeah, with Terry, I'm sure he can drive like this all day and make it work to his advantage, and then when it counts, just drive away. But you never want to be too sure. I mean, Patrick Ripley is due for a win. He hasn't won since the opening round at Daytona, but he definitely has the pace, and he's a good enough driver to take one. So maybe we'll see him back up there tonight.
And there's some parts on this track that the tow can definitely help. I'm looking at top speeds here, and Terry, with not having a tow, he's down 4 or 5, even 6 miles an hour kilometers an hour, sorry, on his competitors behind him because they're getting that extra speed down the straights.
Yeah, look at Paul Boyle by the end of the straight there, right on the back of Keith Roycroft.
And Real ahead of Curry again, trying to keep in touch with Keith Roycroft, who's now pulled over 4 seconds from the field behind him.
Really good from him. He's got that 2-car buffer as well, which is really going to help him of the 2 teammates. Here goes Paletti on Kempter, though. Just doesn't quite have it.
Pull out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than completely committing to that and then, again, losing that spot behind to Don McCloy.
Yeah, we saw that happen. Here's Keith Roycroft being passed by the 2 teammates that he had as a buffer. Sasha Kempter goes around, and just like that, Keith Roycroft has lost the track position. Not the place, but just the track position, and Daniel Real is right behind him on track now.
Yeah, Don McCloy is one who he's had a pretty good qualifying session so far. Started in 10th overall. Is able to maze way up 1 spot tonight, so got to be happy about that currently. And he's trying to hound down Nick Paletti to take that 8th spot.
Oh, it's definitely possible. That's Newbie getting really, really close on Richard Curry. Going for it. Curry's going way deep. That's the position for Newbie. Now, it's not the end of the world for Curry, but he definitely lost a lot of time and positions.
Yeah, down to 6. Qualified 2nd. Had lost that spot to Dan Real early in that lap, and then, just trying to fight it too hard. Ended up sending him in the sand, and now he's got to look at that huge squad in front of him.
Yeah, that'll do you in. Here's Paletti and McCloy. Oh, McCloy backs out.
Yeah, right now we're seeing some drivers, no big mistakes. Haven't seen a lot happen with people going all. Yeah, there were a couple incidents on the first lap, but for the most part, we're just seeing drivers who have made up one or two or a few. Which, by the way, I don't know how Paul Skip is in second place. We missed the pass of Skip on Ripley.
Was it not always inverted?
No, because Ripley was able to get Skip on lap one.
So here's what happened there.
Yeah, he did get around. Oh, that wasn't the first time that he had gone wide.
That's not what happened there.
No, that was lap one, I believe. He had went wide, and I was a little worried for him. Sometime during later lap 3 or 4. Oh, that's McAllister.
There we go.
Oh, and there's Christopher Craig.
McAllister and Craig have some sort of issue. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Look at the damage model there on that Ford GT. Going into this tight left. He gets it done in the braking.
That's the favorite passing zone. Good pass.
So Gareth McAllister and Christopher Craig, this is what happened to them. Kempter into the... Oh, Kempter goes into the dirt, loses it a little bit, taps the rear end of Gareth McAllister.
Steven Shepard involved there too as well.
Oh, Joe Lee, I believe, as well. Joel Lee, sorry. That blue Mercedes, is that... Or is that Shepard?
Steven Shepard's the blue Mercedes ahead of...
oh, Joel Lee's the red
one.
Mercedes that looks like Sasha Kempter.
Yes, they do. Okay, so that was involved as well. Yeah, it was weird that how he lost control of it. I didn't really see it coming. He just kind of had this weird wobble, and then he wasn't able to get it stopped.
That's Christopher Craig. His car's a little beat up. He's going to tow back to the pits. All right. Back to the racing. Ryan Tyler and Marcus Osborne within touching distance down this straight. Osborne going for the outside line. And he's going to turn in. They're going to make contact, but it's not big. But it's enough for Tyler to keep his spot.
Right didn't have the overlap to claim that position yet.
Right behind Langenberg is looking to steal that place from Marcus as he attacks Tyler.
I can say that going down the other straight, following Patrick Ripley here, he did lift on the straight. So he... oh, there's Steven Shepard letting Kelly by. But Ripley had the chance to maybe try to fight side by side on turn 5, but elected not to and just use some draft for now.
So back to the Ripley fuel and mind games. That's something that he does a lot, is lift and follow, even though he has a chance to pass.
Well, he did admit privately that his Le Mans strategy was not on purpose. He didn't realize that. He didn't realize it wasn't possible. Oh, that was very close there. That's some rough racing there.
Keep it on track, but Langenberg gets ahead of Marcus Osborne.
Clean on both sides for sure. But yeah, he did not mean to try to stretch the fuel that far. If he didn't realize it was going to be a mandatory 2-stop.
I believe he did that spot as well, though, or something like that. So it's not completely unnatural for Ripley.
See Osborne trying to get Langenberg back here going on the straight. We've seen the BMW have some pretty good top speed, and Langenberg would be well aware of that.
But just can't get it done.
McCloy finally got around Paletti. They've been really fighting to do that for a few laps there, and then Adrian Garcia Vigil stuck right behind Paletti as well.
Yes, he did. He is right on his tail. Will Borland up here in 4th place, lives about half an hour away from this track, so he's hoping to have a good race tonight. Oh, and as we speak, Vigil, McCloy, and Paletti, Vigil gets ahead. Really, really wide from Paletti. I'm not sure what happened there.
I'm trying to take a look here, though. Oh, McCloy just broke a little bit earlier than him, and he was directly behind McCloy. Spooked him a little bit. He had to avoid out wide, and had to pull to the side and lost that position of the heels. Now fighting to keep it from his teammate Boyle behind as well.
We could see just how clean this racing is. John Kelly and Jeff McDonald. John backed out just a little bit to let Jeff go through, but even at the rear end of the field, the racing is clean and tight.
Yeah, one big mover that we've seen so far is Zach Nurnberger. He's currently up to 7th. He started near the back of the GTM field. Overall, he's climbed up 7 positions from the overall standings from 27th up to 20th, which he's at now. So good improvement by him. Up at the top, we haven't really seen anyone gain a bunch of spots except for Tyler Langenberg, who has gained 3 spots from his starting position of 9th.
Not too bad. Daniel Real is up 4 spots. And as low as, I believe you said Tyler Langenberg as well, up 3 spots. Joel Lee as well, 4 spots gained.
Yeah, 6 spots overall even, yeah.
A new face around here, I believe he just joined tonight.
It's very close to 8th place. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, all sandwiched together right now for them. There's one swap down on the front of Shepard. A little bit of damage to Shepard's car from that incident in turn 5 that we saw earlier.
Never what you want to see.
Don McCloy almost loses it in turn 5. He's going to have a heel shooting up the inside here, going up the hill. Yeah, you can't. He almost oversteered and caused him to lose that position.
Nice and tight there, that was.
That's a brave pass, but it had to be done.
And that was a great view for it, too. Watch the cars just appear at the top of the hill. Wow. Bravery.
Not a standard passing zone. But look at that, peloton that they got forming there as well. There's some big groups forming right now. I mean, it's there's some field spread for sure. Across the field, I mean, from Terry down to like 26th overall, it's already like a 40-something second gap. But there's some big squads that are squabbling over positions in class as well.
Yeah, it definitely there, the gaps, but you definitely see it on the track map. Just a few different DRS trains, but of course no DRS here as Paul Boyle pulls out to the side of Nick Paletti. Not enough though, he's gonna have to tuck back in down the straight as Claybaugh has it on him now.
All 3 teammates next to each other.
Those are all Doge Squad Racing boys.
Maybe some element of teamwork here, but they all want to finish ahead of each other, that's for sure.
They've all got the same goal.
Looking at provisionally right now, Terry does have the fastest lap, but Paul Skip's fastest lap only 300ths off. But on the previous lap, Skip was 6/10 down on Terry Geiger Jr. He's now pulled out, 3.5-second lead. Not a huge lead, but it's starting to pull away a little bit. And meanwhile, Real's catching up to Roycroft for GTD.
Yeah, Curry, De La Sala, and Neri was caught up in that a little bit too. And Christopher Craig. Or no, that's Zach Nurnberger. Sorry. No.
No, it is Craig. He's
Craig just a lap down. Okay.
Yeah.
They're all having a little squabble as they go down the straight. Curry, wow. What a move.
Wow. Huge send. He's not going to be able to keep it, though.
Can't keep it on Neri. No. Very, very opportunistic, but can't keep it. Went a little too wide. Joel Lee and Ryan Glover.
Yeah, that was good awareness by the other drivers, realizing that he was sending it fast enough he wasn't going to make it, so just let him shoot through and then take the position back.
Looks like Curry and Glover have the same livery. No, Curry has a little more chrome on his.
No, a lot of drivers changing it up to confuse us today.
They're against us. Now
Glover's got the red roof, and Curry does not. Curry has a silver roof, so that'll be the distinguisher.
Paul Boyle gets ahead of Paletti, going up the hill. A little wide for Marcus Osborne. headed out of the carousel. And Paul Boyle's back ahead of Paletti. McDonald and Sasha Kempter.
Oh, Ryan Tyler off into the sand in turn 1. He was just getting into the grass there. It was a weird turning point that he had.
Yeah,
no damage. Still trying to get rejoined.
You can see that in his inputs. Just boom.
He just now got rejoined behind the Doge squad.
Oh boy, newbie. I think he followed suit. Not quite. What happened? Ooh, in the grass. That's gonna hurt.
So right there was an example of what I mentioned during quals, where I said a lot of these turns you got to have patience, and it's really easy to go too wide in them, and that's exactly what happened there. And unfortunately, you could tell he had to wait for quite a few drivers to get through before he could keep going again.
Yeah, he's down to 10th now. That's certainly not helping his chances of sealing off the championship tonight.
No, he needed to. It was something like he needs to either finish every race and get safety points, or finish 5th or better at least once, or and that was with having Foreman win every race. I think that.
Oh, right there. Hold on. Boyle just planted in the wall.
I was gonna. Foreman has a meatball flag, just as does Paul Boyle, and so Foreman's in the pits. I think that if Newbie just finishes, he will secure it, because Foreman needed to basically win out to have it, even the slightest shot.
So Paul Boyle missing a hood, trying to make his way back to the pits.
Okay, so Foreman definitely towed, but he's going in. Sasha Kempter, unfortunately, disconnected due to packet loss. We been seeing him blink a bunch during this race with some spotty connection, down in Florida, but looks like it got him.
Yeah, gets the best of us. Joel Lee is also from Florida, as a tidbit. Now what was I gonna say? 48 laps.
Surprised because his club is Northwest, so I was confused when someone said that he was Florida as well.
When you sign up in Northwest and you move to Australia or whatever, it'll still say you're Northwest. It doesn't change.
It does change. Mine changed, actually.
It does. I heard
it changed, and I didn't move.
Oh, well, that just might have been a change of name, but I heard that it's permanent no matter what.
No, it changed from Great Lakes to Midwest.
Huh.
On mine, or Great Plains to Midwest.
Huh. Well, I've heard that. I've heard. We're predicting about. It's been a long day. We're predicting about 48 laps here tonight, and we've done 11 so far. 22 minutes in.
Yeah, it's a pretty long racetrack. It's got 14 corners. Some of them not so much corners as others, but some three long straight events certainly make it a longer lap than the average.
And if Terry Cowger Jr. leads all 48 laps, he will have led over 320 laps this season. Currently, he's led 56% of all the race laps this season. 288.
Yeah, it's really impressive. He has not, again, his pulling away has kind of slowed down a little bit. I mean, in the last lap, he was actually 300ths slower than Paul Skip. But, I mean, man, on the season, though, him being up front has been a familiar position.
It sure has. Tyler Langenberg, who is in second in the championship, only has 52 laps led. So that's, about a quarter, not even, of Terry.
Yeah, and it's not. We've seen Tyler fast in most every race as well. It's not. We do have looks like Keith Roycroft going into the pits. This would be close enough that this could be scheduled for sure. He doesn't look like to have any damage. Check and see if he takes tires though.
I'm predicting about maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes until everybody else comes in, but I don't know what the fuel consumption is like on this track, so it could be a little bit more.
No tires for Keith Whitcroft. So in pit stop 20.5 seconds, pit lane about 51 seconds.
Not too bad. Paul Boyle's getting by Donovan Johnston.
Yeah, so that'll be the number that we kind of look for, about a 20-second stop. It'll be a little bit longer when you pit in a couple laps because it'll take some more fuel, but just to keep an eye on that, comparing it to see who takes tires.
25, 30 maybe. Daniel Real, who's leading this race, up 5 positions, goes just a little bit wide in that left-hander. Christopher Craig also does something similar, just a few corners earlier.
Yeah, Real did a really good job of making sure that that was the result instead of continuing to push that corner and then losing it and slam into the wall, which we actually saw Paul Boyle do earlier.
Ooh, De La Sala just barely surviving that.
Yeah, Curry is another driver doing well in GTM, making a mistake in that corner.
Now, Terry is he's into the pits now.
Yep.
So Paul Skip leads this race.
Will Borland in the pits, Adrian Heel into the pits.
Seems awful early, doesn't it?
I mean, you can't. I mean, it's in the strategy. It's just not. It's not taking it to the end of the tank.
It was interesting to me. Surely, there's something obvious if everybody's pitting. Well, not everybody, but if this many people are pitting, there's something that we've got to be missing.
Real into the pits, Neri in the pits, De La Sala into the pits.
So that puts Nurnberger in the lead now. Up to 9th overall. He's up 11 positions.
That was a 21-second stop for Terry. No tires. No tires for Borland. No tires for Heel. Okay, so it seems like the prevailing strategy is no tires so far.
I'd assume you'd take him in the second pit stop, if anything.
Real may have taken some tires. He's still in the pits.
We could take a look when he comes out of the pit box. But, yes.
Yeah, Real's taken all 4. He's still there. Now he just dropped, so that was a 42-second stop. 22 seconds more than the others.
So it'll be interesting to see if that helps him or hurts him. I think that may have been accidental.
At least taking all 4, I would think so, yeah.
So Real, who was leading the race after some pit stops, now an extra 20 seconds back. Michael De La Sala has some issues. Let's take a look.
It doesn't look like he's going full speed.
That looks like he may have had
that was purposeful.
Pre-existing damage, but yeah, it looks purposeful.
I wonder what happened. I don't know.
Don't believe he's from Florida, so there's no complications there.
Oh, he's Pennsylvania.
Interesting. Skip and Ripley are right on each other in the pits. Wow.
Skip, Ripley, Langenberg, Osborne, McCloy, Clayboss, Heiler. Pretty much everyone else is in the pits.
That's Calgary doing a little blinking as he tries to chase down and get past McDonald. Not for class position. And he does just that as McDonald has to go into the pits.
See, right about now is when we'll see the drivers leave. They're not taking tires. All right, no tires for Skip.
Maybe a tire.
Might be taking a tire.
Looks like it. Based on that time, Langenberg's going to get ahead of him now.
I think he took 2.
34-second stop, so I'd say if it's 20 seconds for all 4, that's probably 2. About extra 12 seconds.
Interesting to see. So I wonder if it was lefts or fronts. Obviously, front left would be one of them, but I wonder if it was both the turning tires or both just the left side tires. But he comes out just ahead of the heel.
Be interesting to see. We'll have to ask him at the end of the race. I know he was asking about doing NASCAR style interviews during the race, but he's not in the Discord tonight.
Additionally, looks like Marcus Osborne took one tire. Probably that one would be surely the front left, but he was a 29-second stop. So just 5 seconds slow.
Keith Roycroft has done well to find himself in P1 for the moment.
Yeah, he went for that early pit, and maybe he's kind of avoided some drama and some incidents behind him.
Very, very possible. I'm not sure what I've done, but it now shows the best lap and the last lap time on the bottom left. So if you're ever curious, take a look at that. That's the lap times that everybody's running, and you can see how everybody compares.
Yeah, in general right now, they're definitely running well off of what they were at the very start of the race. So goes to show that there is definitely some tire wear, whether drivers think it's worth spending the time to change them or not. The pace has fallen off a little bit, and I don't know if the track temp has gone up or not, but
it has, by almost by 10 degrees. 15
yeah,
actually.
So that would be an effect for sure. We're seeing the drivers slow down.
They are. It's interesting to see Mr. Shepard there, not on the BMW that I've grown so accustomed to.
He's not the only one that shockingly changed cars on us.
No, he's not, but just him specifically. I've grown very used to his BMW.
And he's got Newbie all over him. Newbie, who had a pretty big incident, as we saw earlier, right around this area. It's tough to pass. It's not very straight. You know, it's a long, full throttle section, but you got to really trust the guy you're next to, and he's going to trust him here into this corner.
Luckily for Newbie, that incident was...
Ooh. He's not going to be able to keep it through this Thunder Valley, I don't think. Yeah, he has to give up here.
Newbie's incident was just inside the pit window, though, so he could tow and take a fast repair and get back out on track without a huge loss.
Yeah, Paul Boyle in a similar situation as well. Where Boyle is 12th, but as far as actual time off the lead, I mean, like, he's only 10 seconds off of being up into the top 10 at the very least. It's a long race to go as well. Oh, there we go. There's Newbie getting Shepard. Just seemed to have way more speed down the straight. I don't know if he actually had more top speed or if it was just a better exit, but
yeah, Shepard
pretty
just
easy
not as
pass
good
there.
on the brakes. So now we see at that top graphic there, Calgary leading GTD Pro, and oh, never mind. Calgary out? Is that
no, he's it's just the blinking that's messing with your...
just the blinking? All right. Thought I was
He's
about to have
still
to
there.
cry.
Yeah.
Calgary in the lead, as I was saying, and Roycroft in the lead of GTD AM. Something that we've seen quite often this season. Steven Shepard, I never noticed, is 7 positions up from where he started the night in P14.
And 10 overall, yeah.
Zach Nuremberger in P2 is up 10 positions, as you can see on that bottom left area. Aaron Claybaugh is up 6. Adrian Garcia Vahil is up 6. And, wow, lots of people. Ryan Glover's up 7. Steven Shepard's up 7. Joel Lee is up 5. And, with that comes a lot of people that have fallen a few positions.
Yeah, interesting one to look at right now as far as ones who technically have lost places. Ryan Tyler down 5 and Patrick Ripley down 7. I believe I need to check. Let's see. No, not with Ryan Tyler, but with Patrick Ripley, we do know he's on a totally different tire strategy. So
Looks like he's also got
he
a
has
dance
lost to those places in the pits, and we'll have to see if that shakes out for him or not. Keith Roycroft into the pits again.
Interesting.
From the lead. This is early.
It's possible he had some sort of problems because he's been being passed.
He's
Oh,
taking
yeah,
tires.
he went off track. I think he had to take a fast repair. Let's take a look at him. I may have
He's
jinxed
taking
him.
tires too.
Yeah, in the carousel. Oh, just barely into the wall, but it's enough to give him some damage. I think he went in, took a fast repair, reset himself, and he's just got to hope to come back strong and recollect himself. Christopher Craig has an issue. Oh, that's Patrick Ripley. That just spun there. That's Christopher Craig going for some rally cross. Patrick Ripley will take another look at him.
Oh, man. We're not going to see that tire strategy work out now.
No, Richard Curry. This is what happened to him following Steven Shepard. Just a little bit too much in the braking zone. Had to go around Shepard. Keeps it out of the wall, but nicely done. As we move back down, Patrick Ripley, here he is. Losing it.
Air cell. He's on those new tires, too.
Pretty much what Keith Roycroft did. It's not a lot of damage. That damage was just pre-existing. So maybe he won't have to go into the pits and do anything. He could still let that tire... Yeah. Oh, he's around again. Okay, Ryan Tyler, we're trying to catch back up here. There's a lot of stuff. Just so we can show the race strategy. There's Ryan Tyler going off.
Extremely easy to go wide there. Do it all the time.
Patrick Ripley goes off. Going up to the final turn that we were just looking at. And this is him coming back on track. And I guess off again. And going off. And on once more. I think that's the end of that saga for Patrick. Alright, we're caught back up now.
I don't know where he got that damage from, but into the pit.
Into the pits he goes. Skip and Borland going at it now that Patrick Ripley's out of the equation. And,
yeah, they've been fighting for a good few laps. Actually, Borland was even a tenth of a lap slower in the previous one. That's just how close that they've been.
Letting Paul Boyle go around.
Which, by the way, they're both about half a second faster than Cowger. Remember, we saw the gap from Cowger to Skip behind was about 3.7 seconds going into that pit cycle, and it's down just barely over 3 now.
Interesting. Patrick Ripley's into the pits, obviously. But yeah, Borland, who is from this area, 30 minutes away from this track, doing well, representing.
Yeah, we have there in 4th and 5th, 2 big movers, Langenberg and Beheel. Langenberg starting 9th, and Beheel starting, well, at least 12th overall. I think he was 11th or 10th, but moving their way up to 4th, 5th, really impressive. And there's not really any, other than seeing if maybe Marcus Osborne can turn the tires on. I mean, those are net positions there.
Ryan Tyler, interesting, has to stop. And as he disconnected, I'm sure you'll be able to tell.
Him and Ripley both have.
Interesting.
You see what happened, though?
No, he just slammed on the brakes right around here.
Yeah.
And towed. Not sure what happened there. Keith Roycroft is off track and now into the pits. That's Gareth McAllister. Keith Roycroft.
He was in 9th, wasn't that Ben?
Locks up.
Keith Roycroft disconnected from that.
Yeah, that's not going to be helpful for him. Unfortunate that he cannot take a second win in a row, but I understand the frustration.
Pole position curse.
It is. We mentioned earlier, only one person has won from pole position, and that's our championship leader. So,
yeah, even further than that, usually the pole position, the pole sitter has a bad race too. So it's usually even worse than not winning. It's like a really bad race that ends up happening. McDonald was able to at least get second last week, but it's typically not been very good for whoever's able to slam down the fastest time in quals.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but newbie's gap, I know I said it was huge. It is 53 points. That is just an insane amount.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's everything needed to. Foreman's having a really consistent season. It's been very good, but for newbie to not win, Foreman would have to win out and then have all of these other things. And so, as it is currently, it's looking like it's going to be even with newbie not having a fantastic race. He had an incident earlier. He's in 5th. This will still be enough to seal the championship for him if things finish as they are.
Well, hopefully for him, they will.
Yeah, we're not looking at a lot of really small gaps on the track other than Borland and Skip here. I think a lot of them ended up getting sorted out in the gravel and the grass because we had some large clusters that are either spread out more now or are one of them is just not even in the race anymore.
Yeah, for sure. They really broken up now. As we see Paul Skip going around Christopher Craig. That track map does not show big trains like it did just 20 minutes earlier.
Skip kind of using that lapped car like a pick to keep Borland from getting too much advantage from it. But yeah, they are very close. Sub two tenths going into that corner there. Still both faster than Terry, but just not by much.
We take a look. Last lap was a 2:04.8 for Skip, but a 2:04.9 for Cowger, and for Borland it was a 2:04.7. So not too bad. Hingley's into the pits.
Yeah, it's pretty early. Is that? He's got damage on the front right. I think that was damage-related pit stop there.
It's interesting that these guys can run so close and flat out through that kink. Usually it's pretty sketchy. I remember wrecking there following somebody closely in season 3.
The high downforce certainly helps, but it does take some bravery and some deftness on the wheel with keeping it from just stepping out on you, especially with a Porsche, which we've seen is kind of a little bit of its temperamental car. So, I mean, it just goes to show that the drivers are very at one with their car.
Very skillful, for sure.
It's been an eventful race for a lot of guys, a lot of big movers. Not too many people having to retire from the race, although we have seen some big names like Ryan Tyler and Patrick Ripley and Keith Roycroft. So it's been a lot of kind of protagonists for their classes, but for the most part, everyone's still in there racing, and there's a lot of people who've made up a lot of positions. I mean, we mentioned Zach Nuremberg earlier. Gotta give a shout out here to third place right now is Ryan Glover, who is up 12 spots overall. He only started just a little bit ahead of Nuremberger at the start of the race, and again, Steven Shepard has made up even more spots from last time we brought it up. He's in 6th.
Yeah, you can see he's made up 8 in class, so of those 10, 8 of them were 4 points positions. So really, really good performance from him for the 008 car. Zach Nuremberg, as you said, 10 positions. Steven Shepard, 8 positions. Joel Lee, 7 positions. It's all climbing for GTD. The biggest losers down in 13th. Down 9 positions is De La Sala. He's had some issues this race. Ooh, that's a spun car of Don McCloy behind him. And 2 people, Patrick Ripley and Ryan Tyler, who have retired, are down 11 positions in their class.
The slowdown continues. Cowger now, his last lap was a 205 flat. Again, these drivers were doing low 204s. He was able to put in a 203.8 in qualifying, and now we're looking at the 5s.
Is this Cowger just playing mind games, or is it a actual struggle for pace?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Skip is not going to be driving slow right now. He has no freedom to do so. He's got more than all over his bumper. So whether he wants to take it easy or not, he's going to have to push. So at the very least, we know that because it's a 10th and a half right now between those two.
He's sure pushing. Cowger, I don't know. We'll find out. But that's the gap there. You can see him just behind Cowger in the background there.
And they got Jeff McDonald between from GTD AM. Oh, Borland's close enough. He's going to make a move.
Here they
A
go.
lot more over speed. You want to be on the outside here, but
Wow,
Skip
on the
letting him have
brakes.
it.
Borland, much nicer into the corner.
Long race to go, so got plenty of time to get him back if he wants. Very close to each other there, actually.
Very, very close.
John Kelly and Zach Nuremberg are now just 3 tenths apart from each other for the GTDM lead. Again, Nuremberger made up a bunch of spots. Kelly qualified pretty well already from the start, up 4 spots overall. But well-to-do leading the GTM class there, who I believe he only has one previous win on the season, which was at Mid-Ohio.
I believe that's correct.
Yes. Just one. Glover's made himself present in that race as well. Those podium positions for him are all over each other.
Yeah, speaking of podium positions in GTDM, 11 different people have stood on the podium in our 10 races this season. So really diverse with who's been up there.
Yeah, it's great with how many people there are as well. 11's a huge representation.
To put that into perspective, that is over 1/3
Oh, that was bad.
of all the drivers that have raced in E4A in the M class. We've had 32 different people racing in the green class here, and in GTD Pro we've had 25 different drivers over this season.
The spin there was not Curry's fault, but certainly could have done more to avoid rolling back on forward on track there. And so unfortunately, two drivers involved in that, Joel Lee and Richard Curry.
I hate to see it.
Again, Joel Lee, his first race with the series, running the exact same livery as Sasha Kempter, but he is still out there on the track. But there is no hood on the car, and fairly, that's a meatball. And Richard Curry, actually, that puts him over 22 incidents. He's got a drive-through already. So that little collision that he had there, turn one, puts him over that limit, and he's going to have to serve a drive-through. It's not a horrible drive-through on this track compared to others, but that really disadvantages you quite a bit. Driver who started in second.
Oh yeah, I do not like drive-throughs. I've mentioned it many times here on the broadcast. Me and Zach,
the pits.
I got my first drive-through in Pony Express with Zach.
Yeah, turn 4 or turn 3 of Red Bull Ring.
Yep.
But I had one incident point, so I was like, I'll let him try.
That was
Yeah.
that
Damaged.
was the first race I showed any sort of pace in this series, and then I had the pace, but I didn't have the consistency of track limits. Joel Lee.
Well, you melted the tires too. I remember
that as well. Yes, Joel Lee is into the pit lane.
He definitely needed to come in, and then Curry needed to come in for the penalty, which he's serving now. Although, again, Curry's got the damage too, so he doesn't have a meatball, but he may even come around next lap and then get some repairs done.
Very possible. Garcia Vigil going for a little bumpy ride there.
Yet again, one of many turns. Easy to go out wide, go into the grass. But, well, good to save it.
Very good. This is the good old endurance team spectating view. Actually, it's more of this one. Just staring at this for hours on end. Look at the way that Borland really, really uses all of the track limits there. Goes out real wide.
Entry.
Interesting that we don't see more people doing that.
Look at the incident point game. Sasha Kempter has now picked up a drive-through as well. Has just hit 22. Other than that, most drivers pretty far off of that. Although there's only one driver with 0, and wouldn't you believe it? Who is it? It's Terry Kiger Jr. He's the only driver with 0 incidents. But a lot of people still in the points range. Again, we were talking about newbie needing bonus points to secure. He does only have 3 incidents, so he's still on pace to seal the championship, even regardless of race results. But again, I think with him and being in 5th, that already locks it up anyway.
I would be interested to hear what Nick Letty has for incident points currently. As I mentioned earlier, safest driver of the season. What's he got?
Letty, we actually saw him get caught up in a minor collision earlier, so he's at 4. He only has the points from that one collision, but that adds it up pretty quick.
Does for sure.
John Kelly, race leader for GTM, he only has a single incident point. It's not a shocker. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that the drivers with the least amount of incidents are usually the ones who are also doing well, and that's for multiple reasons, but still very impressive.
It is. John Kelly kind of snuck up there in my mind into first place.
Yeah, he was able to benefit from a couple incidents that happened ahead of him, but still doing well to lead. And then Ryan Glover, who we have in third place, he only has one other podium in the season currently, no wins. So this would be another really good result for him.
It sure would be. I'd take a third.
Yeah, his last podium was he podiumed at Mid-Ohio. He got third place. No, sorry, Spa. He got third place at Spa. It was fourth place in Mid-Ohio. So has had some good races, but another podium would be great to add, putting 2 on the season. Although he's about to, he's trying to fight for second, which would be his best placement overall.
Can't quite get the speed to get up side by side with Zach Nurnberger. But,
another shot coming up here.
They're going to go at it. I'll have that slipstream the whole way down if he can maximize this exit. He goes a little narrow.
Yeah, braked pretty early there, too.
I would have tried to stay a little more to the left side of the track there. Doesn't quite get the exit that he needs to make it for the next corner. We'll check back in on him in just a minute. This is Marcus Osborne following Christopher Craig, who's a lap down, trying to work his way up to Tyler Langenberg, 13 seconds ahead.
Yeah, Osborne again on one new tire. So 13 seconds. He lost more than, he lost less than 13 seconds from taking the tire. So it didn't affect his position. So we'll see if it gives him enough pace to catch up to those top 4 by the end of the race. But still, 5th place, very good finish for a driver who has really started to turn it on the latter half of these races so far.
Yeah, he gets past those back
Langenberg
very nice. Oh my God, Zach, the commentator's curse. That's the heel as well that gets caught up in that. Oh.
Well, the tire's going to help him out a little bit more now. But Langenberg in the pits, Kempter in the pits.
Oh boy. So yeah, as you mentioned, he came off the brakes a little bit there, but I'm not sure that'll help
there as well.
Yep. He doesn't go into the pits, interestingly though.
The heel does though. The heel's got more. Well, the heel has major damage.
Oh,
Marcus was able to get away with just a little scrape.
Well, I'm sure when he watches that back and hears that we were talking good about him, he's gonna be mad that we cursed him.
No tires for Langenberg. Very fast, only 19 seconds in the box.
Yeah, it seems early, so I think he doesn't have to take quite as much.
Yeah, but no tires for him. Decided against that. Keep an eye on, see if the heel decides to after that incident. Obviously, he's using a faster pair. It does not look like he's going to take tires. So no tires for Vihil. Oh, never mind. Right when I thought he was going to leave, he is.
Here's Glover's next attempt. He's a little better on the exit this time. Not as good. He brakes quite early compared to Zach here, but I think he's just not trying to plow into the back of him either. But
it's two tires for Vihil.
Not going to be close enough. Ooh, but Zach gets a little squirrely going on that dirt on the inside of the corner. Just doesn't quite have it though.
Yeah, you have to make a pretty big mistake for the guy behind to catch up in that spot, which we have seen. We saw, I think it was Vihil earlier this race, but
and the Real.
Yeah. But speaking of, by the way, not speaking, but Terry Kiger Jr. and Portland both in the pits as well. So I'm interested to see if Terry decides on taking a tire here or not, because this would be probably the last opportunity that you would do so.
I suppose we'll find out very shortly. Sasha Kempter goes for some rally cross and unfortunately has a rally loss of a hood, and he's now out.
Over the voice chat there, I just heard Jeff McDonald said that his power went out, but his computer stayed on, so he's still in there in 7th.
That's
power went out temporarily.
It's quite a lucky thing there. I'm not sure how that happens. Generator maybe?
No tires for Terry. I think when you live in the hurricane country,
Ooh,
you're
that's De La Sala
familiar
into the wall.
familiar with the generators.
I'd assume. I wish I had one.
Will Borland with, I think, 2 tires.
Just a little bit in the grass there for De La Sala. McCloy really lucky to miss out on getting collected there. He's still stagnant. He hasn't got going just yet. Waits
Staying
for
right out
everybody
into
to
the
pass.
pits.
All right.
And Glover.
Lots of people in the pits now. Right out.
Yeah, so
Newbie,
again, Borland took
Nary,
tires.
Glover.
Terry did not. Most people didn't. So interested to see this pays off for him later. Again, with drivers who have not taken a tire yet, probably are not taking one at all.
I suppose we'll have to find out. But
Nary's taking 3 tires, 4 tires. I think 4 tires maybe.
Paul Skips back out in front in the lead of this race once again. Oh, he's pitting though, so not for long.
Yes, but here's where we'll be able to see, because again, Borland took tires. Terry did not. Terry had that gap of about 3 seconds on in front, but he'll obviously come out ahead of Borland. But then it's going to be coming down, late race to see if Borland's tire call was right or not. They're in the same car.
Well, that'll be something to watch. Now, Marcus Osborne temporarily up into the podium positions, and he's in the pit lane as well.
Paul Skip's car. Waiting to see if he decides to make the same call as Terry or the same call as Will Borland behind.
As we wait, the track temp is now up to 96 degrees.
It's starting to level off a little bit at least, but
really
no tires.
hot. Really hot for E4A conditions, which may be affecting our tire strategy a little more than generally.
So again, through some tire calls, Langenberg has now made his way up to 3rd after starting 10th place. Not 10th place, not where he wanted to, or 9th place, sorry, not where he wanted to start, but has now made his way up to that podium position spot, albeit with a couple guys behind him with some fresher tires.
Yeah, Zach Nuremberger still up 10 spots. John Kelly up 2. Claybaugh up 8. Nary up 4. Shepard up 6. I feel like there's fewer people that have remained in the same spot than have gained over 5.
Yeah. Kelly and Nuremberger both taking tires. So 2 guys fighting for the GTDM lead right now with Ryan Glover as well. All 3 of them, no new tires.
Well, let's check in on them, how they're doing. Glover was getting close to passing Nuremberger earlier, but just couldn't get the exit. Could this be his chance here? Just doesn't have that gaining speed.
And it's not quite enough, but it does look like he does have some pace. This won't be his only opportunity.
I always love these nose views, chase cams.
Yeah, you get to see how close the drivers get. They get pretty daring sometimes.
So the Bryce Anderson special here, gyro cam. As John Kelly leads us into the carousel here.
Terry with a pretty good last lap coming out of the pits. First full lap after the pits, put in a 2:04.8. A couple drivers putting in fast ones. I mean, Will Borland put in a 2:03.9. That was actually his fastest lap of the race. Very close to Terry's overall fastest lap. So he's able to turn those new tires on immediately. See where they look compared when they're just a little bit newer than the other old tires at the end of the race. But certainly working for him right now.
Langenberg had a 2:04.6. So that's interesting that he's a little bit faster out of the gate.
Yeah, and that's only 2/10 off his fastest time overall for the race. So he's definitely running well right now, Langenberg is.
For sure. This is Andrew Mayer trying to get past Daniel Real. For track position, not class position, unfortunately. Richard Curry is still chasing down Zach Nurnberger. Feels like it's been going on for laps now, but he is not giving up. You see how he does on the brakes. A little better this time compared to last, but Zach just misses the apex, and this might be his chance here.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely has some momentum, but you can kind of miss the apex and get away with it. It looks like he is going to get away with it here.
You definitely see the closing speed as he grows closer. So going wide certainly didn't help him either. So Glover has a good chance of getting past in the coming laps, but we'll just have to wait for that to happen.
I know that Zach prefers to be the driver behind. He feels more comfortable chasing someone down rather than having someone behind him. I'm the opposite, but it's not his favorite position.
I also prefer to be behind. Then I don't have to look in the rear view mirror and say, oh boy, he's sending it again. And I feel like I leave the door open because I don't trust the people I'm racing with. I know in E4A it's very clean, but officials, more specifically, if you leave the door open, even though that's the racing line, they'll still dive for it. So you kind of have to leave it open.
I think the pro tip is just don't look in your mirror and just pretend they're not there.
I guess that
Just
works
what happens.
until they send it up the inside and you're both in the wall. But
You can tell that this battle has pulled Nurnberger a little bit away from Kelly, though, having to do a little bit more defending, a little bit more worrying about Glover behind, because it's about a 1.7 second gap to Kelly in front now.
it is. And that 3.7 second gap that we had earlier out in front is present once again.
Well, yeah, actually, Skip kind of narrowed it down to that a little bit. I noticed when they had initially come out of the pits, it was about 4.3, so he's dropped it a little bit, but he had lost some time in that pit cycle. And I don't know where it was. It must have been from an outlap or in that, because their stops were literally identical to the 10th of a second.
Huh.
Although, hey, now they're working some traffic now.
That's Kyber going by Shepard. And Glover, much closer this time, but still not close enough on Nurnberger.
It's got to be frustrating,
He just
especially
can't-
because that's the main passing zone there.
Oh yeah, he just can't get too antsy though. That's Nary getting loose. But you get too antsy and you make a mistake and you'll be kicking yourself.
Ooh, he was sniffing the inside there. Nuremberg very slow off the previous corner. Not a passing zone, but he was going slow enough that he thought about it. Again, both of these drivers made up tons of spots. Glover up 8, Nurnberger up, I think, 11?
10.
10? Something like that?
10 in class.
Yeah. Wild.
McDonald's working to chase down second place in the championship, James Foreman.
Yeah, again, Foreman doing really well in the season. Has put in some really consistent. This is actually one of his would be one of his lowest finishes of the season, though. Here in 8th, doesn't have many bad weeks, so this would probably be one that gets dropped in the books unless he's able to make up a lot of spots later this race.
I don't know. I suppose we'll just have to wait and find out. We've got 38 minutes of racing left.
Nurnberger is the driver behind him in points right now. He has a lot back. He missed a couple races, I think he only missed Long Beach. However, Nurnberger does have the benefit of having a race win on the season, which James Foreman doesn't have any yet. And Nurnberger actually has 5 podiums versus James Foreman's 3. So it is a big gap right now between second and third, Foreman and Nurnberger, but we may see that close up some, both after this race and after some drop weeks get applied. And there's Glover right on Nurnberger.
Yeah, and
I think he's gonna make a move here.
Oh, where's
going
my
into turn
mouse?
5.
There we go. Glover
Later on the
ahead.
brakes. Oh, too late. Too late.
Oh, his one chance is gone.
He's got to claw it back. It is extremely hard when you're in the cockpit and you make a failed pass attempt to just get back into the headspace of making that move again, especially trying to make it in the same spot. It's just hard to really trust yourself.
Yeah.
There's Real. Real, who has fought his way back quite a lot there. Now just a second and a half or so back from Glover in 4th.
This is McDonald. And Hingley's gonna be ahead. Zach Nurnberger.
Oh, huge crash by Glover. Huge crash.
This is the
Massive
wrong one.
crash. That's from the lap. It's
trying to
wow,
change it. There
that
we
was
go.
violent. It's right here. He goes out wide.
Ooh boy. Yeah,
And
and
then-
oh no. Okay, Real survived. Wow, look at Curry go though. That is P2 and P3, both probably out of this race. We've got some smoking from the engine of one Mr. Ryan Glover. Let's take a look at the cockpit of Cam here. You may want to, well, not look at the screen if you get motion sick.
Yeah, absolutely nothing he can do. That is not his fault in any way. And it's not like Nuremberger did like an unsafe rejoin or anything. It was a mistake from Nuremberger going out wide, and then everything else was just falling in place after that. Both drivers helpless to avoid that giant collision.
Unfortunate. That will put Daniel Real and Christopher Newby is back up into P3.
Yeah, not that Newbie needed the points, but yes.
Typical
Back
Newby
to podium.
fashion.
Makes a nice little gap for Kelly on Real behind, who again Real was just in 4th, like hoping to maybe make his way back up into the conversation there for the podium, and now he's up in 2nd place.
Well, I'm sure he's not complaining.
Furthermore, this is hard to believe because we've mentioned his name with having some great pace earlier in the season, all kinds of stuff. Dan Real, 3 poles this season, has no podiums. This would be his first podium if he does finish in this current position.
Well, that'll be wonderful to see for him. I don't know if I mentioned it, but P4 and P5 in the championship are currently tied at 311 points. That's Mark Dillon and John Kelly. John Kelly is leading this race tonight, so it's possible that he'll pull away as Mark Dillon Jr. did not show up tonight.
Yeah, that'll help. Mark is sick, but that'll help because Mark has 2 wins to Kelly's 1, so Kelly can match him on total wins for the season. Michael De La Salle picks up a drive-through penalty for incident points, serving it right now.
And if we check back in on our bracket race here tonight, well, Curry, we saw what happened to him. No, that was Glover. But Curry's down in 9th. They have the same livery, so they were the same in my head. Curry currently losing to McDonald, as McDonald is in 6th, Curry is in 9th, and then, of course, Terry Kyogre Jr. and Paul Skip matched up tonight. Terry's winning by about 4.427 seconds right now.
Which, let's give Paul a lot of credit. Spin. Give Paul some credit here because this is a very small gap in context of what we've seen with a lot of Terry's wins lately. Most of these races in the last 5 or 6, he's kind of just pulled away with no competitor, but he's been kept on his toes by Paul behind, and still with half an hour to go, it's certainly not over. I mean, even just a minor mistake brings them right next to each other.
Yeah, do credit to Paul. Great showing for him tonight.
Yeah, so this would both of these bracket challenges we've got are in the loser bracket. So that means that the loser of these 2 head-to-heads is out completely. So If they finish as they are right now, Terry Kiger Jr. would be up against Marcus Osborne at Watkins Glen for GTD Pro, and then for GTD AM, Jeff McDonald would be up against Zach Nurnberger at Watkins Glen, and then that would be decided. And there would be a final round in Sebring if there is one other driver who only has a single loss.
All right, then. So, we have just over 30 minutes of racing remaining. And it's looking good for John Kelly and Terry Kiger Jr., although that could change at any time, as we've seen. Terry doing really well tonight, even though he's sick and in Florida. But Paul Skip keeping up with him relatively well as well. So, props to both men.
It's Shepard there really fighting to keep that 4th place. Made up a ton of spots from where he started. As far as the overall standings, he's the highest mover. I mean, even if he were to lose both of these spots, he'd still be the highest. So it's been a really good race for him so far. And now we've got some new names up here fighting for the top 5 that have now been gifted these positions due to the Curry Nürnberger incident.
Yeah, now that we've lost Nürnberger, his 10 spots have been converted to only a 2-spot gain, and Shepard is up 10 in class.
We do actually have both those drivers still in the race. They're both still racing, so
Good to know.
of course they have, well back and probably just outside of the pit strategy window as well. But here's Johnston making a move.
Got the inside of turn 1 on Shepard. Shepard not as good on the brakes, taking that outside line. He's had ahead through the first part, but this is a 2-turn overtake most of the time. And
See, McDonald's going to try to
Shepard's
join
going to
here.
have the outside line, maybe get a little more momentum, but they're pretty equal side by side all the way down. Johnson's going to have the outside. Who does Jeff McDonald follow? Looks like Shepard could be either going in. They make contact.
Ooh.
Johnston gets tapped a little wide.
Little baby touch.
And Shepard's going to keep the position, but McDonald's going to try to slip behind or past Johnston, and it looks like he's going to get that done on the inside.
Yeah, once you've got someone on the inside there, there's just no chance. You can't fight on the outside there.
James Foreman is lurking in the background as well, all the way down in P7. They're battling for P4 there. That's, what, 4 cars?
Fourth through 7th, yeah.
4 cars there involved in one battle for position.
Now, all those guys there are fortunately way off from the podium positions. They're about a minute back from 3rd, but fighting for like a top 5, still very nice to have, especially for some of these guys would be their best result on the season.
It definitely would be, and well deserved if for any one of them.
We do still have Terry at 0 incidents and John at 1. Newbie's still in the range to get the points. He's only got 3 incidents. So this is playing out pretty well for a lot of these drivers here who are trying to have clean races, and it's putting them up at the
Into
front.
the pits is Shepard.
Yeah, this is just that may have been the lap that put him in the pit strategy. Obviously, it was on purpose, so that would be the last pit that he makes for the race, ideally.
Newbie's off track, and he has not come back on yet.
Ooh, let's see.
That's what happened
That
to
was
him.
not that bad.
Just took a while to come back on. Uh-oh. What is all that red I just saw there? Let's take a look. Marcus Osborne. This is towards the final turn.
Wouldn't turn. It just kept pushing out and pushing out.
Oh, and Hingley hits him at insult to injury. That's Curry or Glover, one of the two. That's Curry
It's a
there.
drive-through for Hingley as well.
Nürnberger jumps to the pits, so he had some sort of... no, he was in the pit lane, and then he towed from the pit lane, maybe out of gas or something. I don't know. That's Marcus Osborne. Yeah, that's what it says for me. Although he does not appear in the pits.
He's not in the session. Yeah, he just pulled into the pit and then like towed and he quit.
Huh.
He was out of it as far as the race goes.
For sure.
Osborne decided not to pit immediately after that, but after this whole lap, he may change his mind. He doesn't have a meatball, but he's actually also only 1x away from a drive-through. He's picked up 21 incident points. He's very close to sending that over. So again, another driver we saw take a different strategy on the tires. We're not going to be able to see it play out. However, speaking of that, we do know that Will Borland took, I believe, 2 tires, and he has now closed it down to 1 second from Tyler Langenberg. There's only a gap of, only a gap of a second. All right, well there we go. Langenberg in the pits. But before that happened, Will Borland had put in his previous lap 0.6 faster, so he has a lot of pace in those tires right now. And after this pit cycle, Langenberg may find himself behind.
Very possible. We've only got about 25 minutes of racing remaining in this race, so as we see the pits start to come, we're going to take a short break, and we will be back very shortly. And we're back. We saw Gareth McAllister and Will Borland getting tangled up a little bit there.
Yeah, it looks like McAllister was already losing it, and then Borland just kind of got involved. Luckily, no damage. That could have been a real bummer to end the race, but I mean, man, he's got a lot of pace on Paul Skip ahead right now. They still have a pit to go, and for that to all work out, but it's kind of looking inevitable for Borland to finish second in this race.
He's got a good chance.
Previous lap, he was 1.9 seconds faster than Paul Skip, 2061 to a 2042. And Terry Kyger's putting in some good laps as well, 2045. I think that may have just been a bad lap by Paul Skip, but again, with the tires that we know that Borland has, wouldn't surprise me to see that advantage now paying off.
And if you want to see just how dominant Terry has been tonight, he's lapped everybody in the GTDM class except for the podium people. So all the way up to 4th place in GTDM has been lapped by Terry Cowger Jr.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a really good race put in by him. And actually, Borland has done the same as well. He's because 4th place being Jeff McDonald, they have all the 3 podium places for GTD Pro ahead, although they do have to make a pit stop.
So we could take a look at how many Porsches there are here.
Yeah, it's become the new car. I was kind of having fun earlier in the season when it was, you just saw some Ferraris, Mercedes, BMW, a couple Porsches, and got a good mix, but it's all Porsche now.
It's all Porsche? Always has been.
Yeah, I mean, it's never been a bad car, but it seemed like it was too unwieldy at the start of the season. There hasn't really been any major updates. It's just been kind of drivers figuring it out, I guess.
Yeah, they see that it has the potential and they put the work in to get it, and it works.
Yeah, again, Terry Cowger Jr. still holding the fastest lap all the way back from lap 3, I believe, which was a 2:03.8. A couple drivers come very close. Paul Skip only 300ths off of that. Bill Borland does have a 2:03.9. So those are the 3 drivers that have been able to. Marcus Osborne also put in a 2:03. So a handful of drivers able to put in the 3s, but. Actually, I'm sorry. Patrick Ripley, I believe, has the fast lap. He has a 2:03.7. I missed him because he was down there on the chart. But I believe he's put in the fastest lap. So they're well off of that now. They're over a second slower based on the current track conditions, but not surprising given the temperature that we've seen rise.
Let's take a look here.
Oh, there we go. Terry in the pits.
Terry's in the pits. Just illustrating what you were just talking about. This is all of the drivers' best times.
Wonder who the fastest of AM is then.
My guess would be this man right here, Heath Roycroft.
Yep. There you go. Good call on that. All right, so Cowger and Borland now in their pit boxes. Making sure there's no mistakes. Clean pit by Terry. Obviously no tires. He's exiting the pits now. Borland actually a shorter pit stop even than Cowger, so he must have had to take less fuel, and he is out now as well. Yeah, that stop was 3 seconds slower than Paul Skip's last stop was.
Wow.
We'll see how again, it is a little bit of a splash and dash, so let's see what Paul's pit looks like.
This is what the pit strategy has looked like.
Yeah, not a lot of strategy.
Pretty regular. A few variances in stint length, but not much.
Yeah, the only thing really is just seeing Langenberg kind of coming in early, but other than that, it's just been either pit lap 12 or 13 of your stint.
Yep. We see everybody's pretty spread out on track at the moment. We can give a few people some features now. Mr. Hingley. This is Joel. We got Richard Curry. Steven Shepard. James Foreman. Ooh, they're close on track, but not for position. James Foreman and John Kelly.
And Paul Skip now coming into the pits. Picked up his couple laps led there. Probably, maybe will finish on the podium. I do think that the Borland pace looks to be. Well, I guess we'll see when he comes out of the pits. I wouldn't surprise me if Borland's ahead after this pit cycle, but Skip may be able to keep third ahead of Langenberg.
So De La Sala has caught up to Craig.
Yeah, a couple drivers who have been in some pretty big incidents, but it's good that they're able to still have some racing on track this late into the race.
Yeah, I mean, De La Sala and Craig are last and penultimate right now, but still only 3/10 separate them, and they're having a good time at the butt end of the field.
Borland, not as fast, I guess, on those couple laps of overlap there as I thought he'd be, but still only 1.2 seconds back. So Skip still certainly has a fighting chance here now that he can force Borland to have to pass on the track rather than have it happen in the pits.
I suppose we'll get to watch that unfold then.
Yeah, Langenberg a bit off. It looks like Langenberg's last stop was he took tires. He may have taken a tire, I think, for that stop there. So that would explain why he's fallen back a little bit. Interesting to take it so late, but potentially, if there's late race pace, that's the right call. But the clock's definitely starting to run down, and he's 8 seconds off of the podium right now.
That should illustrate how long each driver spent in their pit box, in their pits.
Yeah, you can see that long stop by Langenberg there, probably one tire.
We'll have to let it pop up in just a moment. Borland.
Well, no, Langenberg's there with the 25.9. Everyone else has been around 19 seconds for the splash and dash, 19 and 20. As we see, like Boyle there with 20.9. So an interesting call this late in the race, but Langenberg's had to fight through a lot of traffic, starting lower than he wanted to. Might as well take a gamble and see if you can shoot yourself up even further.
Nothing to lose.
Well, there is, but he was there. But I just don't know 15 minutes is long enough for that advantage to play out. But we'll see. I'll be keeping an eye on the lap times. I mean, as of the last lap, Borland really on the pace. I mean, Paul Skip, he is barely able to fin off as Borland's last lap was a 2:04.1. Nearly in the threes this late in the race. It's pounded him. And behind Langenberg a 2:04.5. Very good lap, but it looks like Borland may be able to even take second here.
He's pulling out. He's side by side in the braking zone. He's got that inside line. And he's got inside up the hill. He's going to blink a little bit, but he got the move done nice and easy. Beautiful pass from Borland.
Yeah, great pass. Too much traction for Skip to do anything about. Again, old tires for Skip on at least that front left. I think I remember Borland having taken 2 tires, so he took him at a good time, clearly.
It's worked out very nicely for him.
And again, interesting to see Terry not taking tires, but still out there in front by about 4 seconds. So he decided not to, but he's still been making it work just fine. His last lap was a 2:04.5, pretty much the same time that Langenberg had.
So just over 12 minutes of racing remain. And it's looking all right for Terry Cower Jr., but not anywhere as dominant as he has been in the past. Like a 30-second victory last week.
I don't know if I'd go so far as all right, because again on the previous lap, Will Borland was half a tenth faster than Terry Cower Jr. There's probably about 6 laps left. That's 3 seconds. You know, that puts Borland firmly within a toe range kind of thing. It could, if Borland's able to keep up the pace that he had while he was hunting down Paul Skip, he has a chance of getting there unless Cowger's got something in the tank for an emergency. And only 3 tenths faster on this last lap for Borland. It won't be enough. He'll have to be doing more like 6 or 7 tenths faster per lap.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see. Hard to tell.
It doesn't look like Langenberg's call is going to work out for him, though, I think. It looks like he was... I mean, he was about a second faster than Paul Skip on the previous lap. However, there's just not enough time. There's only 5 or 6 laps to go. He's got 7.5 seconds. And Skip lost time from, of course, when he was battling with Borland there. So it looks like we're probably looking at the podium positions as they are, and that's probably how it's going to finish.
There's a good chance.
But I'm interested to see if Terry has something he's kept in his back pocket here. He doesn't have he doesn't have the new tires that Borland behind does. So we already know that objectively Borland's gonna have I mean, unless Terry is really being a major savant with the tire conservation, he's probably got the newer tires. But Terry has clearly shown the best pace in qualifying. He has the second fastest lap of the race. He had the fastest lap in qualifying. So sometimes it's more than just the tires. It comes down to the driver as well. So is Terry fast enough to hold it off for the rest of this race? Again, just a 0.3 difference between the two. It's just not quite enough. A good late race push by Borland, but if it was a 2-hour race, it'd be different.
Well, Glover's into the pit lane. Hingley's on his way out. And 10 minutes remain in this race.
Yeah, and we got everybody pit, pretty much as far as who we're looking at. Everybody's already made their pit, although there's a couple that are going to be close. Like one I'm looking at is Steven Shepard, who's running well there in 7th. I don't know if he's currently got 8 laps on his current stint. He may be coming really close to the end of a tank when we get to the end. Langenberg probably, it looks like he pit as early as he possibly could, but Shepard's been going longer than he has on this current stint.
I'm thinking if you're 8 laps in now, you should just be able to stretch it to the end of the race. You'd hope.
Well, but you have to factor in like a white, potential white flag coming in somewhat late. You may be doing some rolling to the line. I guess we'll see. Hopefully he has just enough fuel for it.
Let's see. Terry is about in the first quarter. We'll say 30 seconds in. So by the end it'll be 33. I don't know. I don't feel like doing math.
I mean, right now it's looking like it's probably going to be 4 more laps. We'll see when we get closer. It's 8 minutes remaining. There are a couple of drivers, like Gareth McAllister's one. He will still need to pit. All right, one I was about to mention, he actually just did go in pits. But for the most part, not really seeing any close on-track battles. We saw so much early, but those all got sorted out at this point.
Just a nice cruise to the end between the field. Only 10 cars remain in GTD Pro after we started with 16.
Yeah, it's been a rough race for the pro drivers. It's not often that we see so many out of the race, but it's wow. Again, it's down to a 2.5 second gap for Will Borland on Terry Carger Jr. Langenberg's cut his gap to Skip. Borland crashed. And Skip goes by. Oh, and Langenberg's probably going to be able to get by as well. Borland still, yep, there goes Langenberg.
There's Skip.
Oh, man, going from 2nd to 4th.
And
that's some damage, too.
Probably a little bit more.
Wow.
Surely Borland's going to lose maybe down to 6th by the end of this race.
Fortune's really turning for Paul Skip and Langenberg there. Well, Borland even has a meatball. He has to pit for this. So his car looks bad. We've seen worse, but yeah, he's gonna lose at least his play by. I think he'll be able to stem the flow and stay in 5th because Paul Boyle is 28 seconds back from 5th. Which again, Boyle, also a driver who is sick racing today, and had some misfortune early in the race, but well done to push his way back up to 6th. Again, we're seeing all 3 of those Doge Squad boys right next to each other, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Not too shabby for their night.
Okay, interesting. Borland not going into the pits yet. There's 3 laps left. Does he think that he can... I'm trying to remember exactly when they start the countdown. I think it's 3. I think you're like allowed to pass the line 3 times. If it's when you pass the line the 3rd time you get the penalty, then I think he's out of luck. But maybe it was the exact perfect time where he doesn't actually have to pit to repair it.
Interestingly, he's keeping relatively decent pace. He's only lost about a second to Claybaugh behind.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look that bad. It looks bad, but I'm like watching him drive here. It doesn't look like it's driving that bad. Again, if you have a meatball and you pit, because you have to serve it within 3 laps, I'm pretty sure. And I think you can cross the line 3 times, which he has now done once. So if the white flag comes at the right time, I think that he'll be allowed to cross the line and have, there won't be any sort of post-race penalty applied. But if he doesn't, if he does acquire the penalty for not pitting in time, and like if the race goes a lap longer than would benefit him, he will have a pretty hefty penalty.
Well, I guess we'll find out in less than 5 minutes. This race has flown by, but at the same time, it feels like it's been going on for ages.
Yeah, it's been a little devoid of some action, I think, in the late race, and I think we did get robbed of some tire strategy, interesting, or tire strategy interest in seeing how drivers would end up sorting out with that, because a lot of the drivers who took a different strategy and the tires ended up having to spin or crash or even had to retire from the race as a whole. But we do have Langenberg, again, one that is on a different tire strategy, down to 3.7 seconds to skip ahead, both in the podium spots. But again, he was 7/10 faster in the previous lap, and there's only 2 more laps to go. So it's not enough to quite get there, but it's going to be really frustrating because he knows he has the pace.
Yeah. Speaking on retirements, we have lost just about 9 people tonight. All the way from Daniel Hingley, Marcus Osborne, Zach Member, Adrian Garcia, Peel, Sasha Kempter, Patrick Rickles, Ryan Tyler, Keith Roycroft, and Brad McCombs never took the start.
It's certainly better than Le Mans. I think Le Mans, we were like 2/3 of the way through the race, and we had like 13 or 14 people out.
Yeah, Le Mans tricky.
It's the difficulties of this track have caught some of the drivers out. There's been some unavoidable instances of some spins causing some actual car-to-car collisions. So Terry's still at 0 on the incidents. He's going to get those 4 points as long as he just makes it through the last few minutes here clean. And then as far as some of the other drivers we're looking at, Paul Skip still in that three bonus point range. Tyler Langenberg right on the brink, but will get them as it stands. Oh, he couldn't. He was trying to get it turned around, but luckily it's pretty simple. But Kelly, he'll get 3 bonus points. Real will not get points, and Newbie will. So again, Newbie already finishing 3rd would secure the championship, but the safety points definitely will. So at the very least, finishing on the podium will be a nice opportunity for him to have an interview at the race that he clinches the championship.
Yeah, a nice interview would be very pleasant.
All right, looking at Terry, he's coming down the back straight right now. Or I'm sorry, he's coming down to turn 5. I don't. Did he get the white flag?
I'm not sure. Let's see.
I think that he would have.
I would have assumed.
So it looks like we're probably on the last lap of the race. Oh yes, he did get the white flag. So Terry about halfway through the lap, finishing it up. I think Borland might get away with this. Richard Curry unfortunately just picked up another drive-through from incident points, so he will. Well, he's serving that next season pit lane now, so serving that on the final lap. Yeah, the AM has been all over the place. We've seen tons of drivers running up there in the top 3, but Josh Kelly, really well done to be the guy. Josh Kelly, my bad. I'm sorry. I meant John Kelly. John Kelly, well done to hold it up there steady in first. Really clean race and a whole 10-second gap.
Well, speaking of holding it up there steady all race, Terry Kagger Jr. is going to round the final corner and make his way across this long straight, up over the hill, and he's going to take the checkered flag to win the race. Terry Kagger Jr. is your winner in GTDM. Behind him, Paul Skip and Tyler Langerberg are going to cross the line for second and third, respectively. Not a huge gap
if
between
Borland
them.
gets penalized or not. It'll be immediate if we know. Hey,
no,
all
play
right.
ball. Oh.
Perfect timing for him. I mean, you don't want to wreck, but that was the last lap it could have happened.
So Borland survives the danger and leaves us to look at John Kelly here. He's got a few more laps, not a few more laps, a few more corners until he can take off the headset and, ooh, Paul Boyle's looking to complicate things maybe.
Fun last lap.
He survives the issues there. And John Kelly has one more corner to go. He's going to tuck behind Don McCloy and make his way down the straight, up the hill, and across the line. John Kelly takes the win for GTDM.
Well done. Really good race.
Following him, Daniel Real and that beautiful blue Porsche.
Finally taking up a podium on the season.
Well done by him. And Christopher Newby is going to come across the line. And does that make him champion?
It does.
Christopher Newby, your GTD M champion. Let's see if we can
Really
do
well
it.
done.
And
then we do have Terry Kagger Jr. beating Paul Skip in the bracket, and Jeff McDonald beating Richard Curry.
So Will Borland says he can't believe he did that. Pushed a little bit too hard, trying to dethrone Terry. It would have been super close. It would have been indeed, but it was a great race nonetheless. All right, so everybody has now crossed the line, and we are able to take a look at our results. So for GTD Pro, Terry Kagger Jr. takes the win, followed by Paul Skip, Tyler Langenberg, Will Borland, Aaron Claybaugh, Nick Paletti, Don McCloy, Paul Boyle, Andrew Neri, Gareth McAllister, and then Marcus Osborne, Adrian Garcia Vigil, Sasha Kempter, Ryan Tyler, Patrick Ripley, and Brad McCombs, who didn't take the start.
And for our GTD AM results, John Kelly, second win of the year, followed by Daniel Real, who gets his first podium of the season, and Christopher Newby, who is able to secure the GTD AM championship with this race. even with a couple races to go. They are followed by Jeff McDonald in 4th, Donovan Johnston, James Foreman, Steven Shepard, Joel Lee on his debut in 8th place, Ryan Glover, Richard Curry, Michael Delasala, Christopher Craig, Daniel Hingley, Zach Nurberger, and Keith Roycroft.
All right, so I suppose we'll do some interviews. And
I gotta wait for drivers to get in the Discord here. No one's in.
oh boy, and then we'll have some talks with them. Hopefully, hopefully we will get to talk to Christopher Newby. And
Okay, well, one driver we do have, the only driver we have in right now is Terry Kiger Jr. And so I usually go, AM and pro in the backwards. But if he's the guy we got in here, I'm gonna pull him in now. So let's see if we can get a word with Terry. Terry, you getting me in the booth here?
I gotcha.
Another win. This one, a slightly smaller gap, I guess, than the ones you've had previously. First question is, where did that qualifying lap come from?
I've done it solo, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. But I got lucky and had some drafting help. So
I mean,
I'll take
it. I think the gap probably came from a little bit more than just the draft. But I mean, you came in first time lap, you set in that 203.8, and then no one else was even able to break the 204 barrier throughout the entire session. So kind of a unexplainable pole lap, I think, for the other drivers. Now, for the race, you elected to not take any tires for the entire race. Was that the plan that you had coming in?
Not really. I was planning on taking tires, but I've got so much on my mind between the storm going on outside right now, and I've actually been sick, running a fever and all kinds of crap since like Saturday or Sunday. So I wasn't exactly 100% tonight, so I kind of forgot to check my tires on the pit stops.
Huh. Well, it certainly turned out. With late in that race, were you keeping an eye on Will Borland's progress? Because it was looking like, had he not had that incident, it could have been, a fight to the end. Did you have something left in the tank that you were holding for an emergency there, though, to keep first?
No. There was nothing. There would have been nothing left. The left front tire was toast. I checked it right before, and it was at 21%. And like the last 3 laps, every time I tried to brake hard, it was having none of it. It didn't like it whatsoever.
Well, despite the tire difficulties, you again the only driver with 0 incident points, so you pick up those 4 bonuses. You're with that win. I know you've seen plenty of talk on it in the Discord, making a way towards pretty much a perfect season, potentially, as you get another bad race dropped in the books. We have a couple races to go with Watkins Glen and Sebring. Not to make you toot your own horn too much, but do you think that you'll be able to win out here?
It would be nice, but racing with these guys, you never know. I mean, anything can happen. The next 2 tracks are good tracks for me. I like both of them, and I feel like I run well. But the next one being Watkins Glen, I have a love-hate relationship with that track. I either do good or something silly happens, kind of like Le Mans. So maybe I can turn it around this season. I don't know. But and then I know for sure there's going to be some guys that are good there, and Sebring coming up for the season finale. So it'll be a fight, but I'm going to see what I can do. See if I can. Just, so I'll have something up on Dennis.
Yeah, exactly. You have the chance to beat him on that, which would be a feat. Anyone who's running this league knows, the record, how Dennis represents in the record books. So again, mathematically, you have not yet sealed the championship, although I think that we can say that provided some pretty extreme circumstances, it's probably going to end up being the case. We'll see.
I actually believe that win and the full bonus points did lock it up tonight.
Did it? Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
I will trust your call on that. I will have to to do the math later. I know that that newbie was able to secure the championship. So again, if that is the case, congratulations on a championship for the inaugural season of GTD Pro and GTDM.
All right, thank you.
Good luck next week that we have at Watkins Glen, and hope to see you in the booth again, Terry.
All right, sounds good.
Have a good night.
Night.
All right, that was our overall race winner for GTD Pro, Terry Cowger, and potentially the secured champion, although I have not run the numbers yet myself, but wouldn't shock me with the kind of races that he's had. So I'm going to pull in now third place finisher for GTD Pro, Tyler Langenberg. Tyler, are you getting me in the booth here?
Hello.
Give me your Tyler. Yes, that is the button. It was a great race that you were one of the biggest gainers as far as from where you started in your qualifying position. Did you feel that you qualified out of position, or was the track just coming to you late in the day?
My qualifying felt a bit poor, I'll be honest, but I knew, like, I always know, like, my qualifying, like, my single lap paces is poor, but, like, once I get into race mode, it's just like, all right, we're going to groove now, we can do this, dig through the field, and made a few passes in that first stint, and then after that, it was just strategery, you know?
Yeah, it's not the first time that we've seen, really impressive race pace from you. That picks you up podium number 6. What influenced your call to take that tire on the last stop? I know Terry was saying that his tire was pretty much gone. Was your tire probably in a similar situation on that final stop that you had?
For me, I just wanted to take a gamble, like, what's the worst I could lose? One position, because when I pit, I was running third, Will was running me down, and then I was just like, what's the worst I could lose? 4th position, whatever. I was fine with it, so, like, I just decided I'm gonna take the gamble. Will had his incident, and then I was just running down, Paul, was it? I think.
Yeah. I
Paul.
imagine you wished it was a 110-minute race.
Yeah, because I was running him down quite a bit every lap. I wish it was a bit longer.
Yeah, you obviously had some of the fastest pace at the end of the race. Now, one of my biggest questions I had was what made you choose the Porsche for this race? You've run the BMW in every race previously this season. I mean, you're not the only person who chose it for this race, but what influenced that decision there?
I was just testing out some BOP stuff, you know? Just feeling it out.
Yeah, you hurt BMW in the Manufacturers Championship, but you got yourself a podium for sure. Next week we have Watkins Glen. Do you feel confident about that race? And is that potentially one that you're going to stick with the Porsche for?
I'm not sure. I'm not really thinking that far ahead just yet.
That's all right. Regardless, enjoy the podium. Again, you've been racking up plenty this season, so I hope to see you on the podium again next week. And you have a good night, Tyler.
Yep, thank you.
That was our third place finisher, Tyler Langenberg. Now, I do not have Paul Skip in the Discord right now, so I'm going to move to GTD AM. I'm going to pull in our race winner for the class, John Kelly. John, get me in the booth.
How are y'all?
We're doing great. That was an entertaining race to watch. You've now picked up your second win on the season, 4th podium. Was it, there was a lot of position swapping during that mid-race. At what point did you really feel like you were going to be able to bring home the win on that, feel confident about it?
I didn't have a clue where I was until about the last pit stop when I got high enough where I could see the 7th place car, so I could go to the standings black box and see that all the guys ahead were pros. Before that, I had no clue. I knew it couldn't be terrible since we were in like 11th and 10th or whatever. But yeah, I started from the pits, particularly when I saw it was a full pace lap, and I started out trying to see if I could save fuel to any degree at all, and it didn't. Yeah, you could save a little, but the time penalty was too much. So, and then I just drove around and tried to save the left front, and I think that was pretty good. So, I only deviated from the strategy when I needed to get around somebody, or if I needed to stay ahead of somebody that would slow me down if they drafted past me. Other than that, it was kind of a tire management race all the way around. I could have probably gone a second quicker if I had to, but it all worked out in the end. I guess all the carnage happened before I got up to them. So it was fun. I drove around by myself for the most part. Like maybe 10 laps, I had somebody around me.
No winning strategy is the wrong strategy. This was again one where you nearly had the 0x. You only had one incident point, which was the second least in the entire field.
And it was barely one. I just touched the dirt coming out of turn 5. Just touched it with the right front.
How do you in a 100-minute race, especially one where you know it's going to be worrying about tire wear and tire conservation? How do you keep it firmly on the track for that long?
Well, part of it is that you're driving a 100-minute race. I mean, that's if you try to do qualifying laps around here, you're not going to do 100 minutes without having probably a pretty big incident, not just a 1X. But if you're trying to manage the tires, then you really can't do all the things that would cause you an issue. But there's so many places. You got long corners here, so like turn 1, it's real easy to be just a tick too fast going in there, and you're gonna put a wheel in the grass on the exit and get your 1X there. I mean, and turn 5, it's easy to get wide there and so forth. And same thing in Canada corner, you can get a little bit wide, putting the power on there and get your tire in the dirt on the left. So, really, if you're thinking about worried about the tires, then you shouldn't be over there, right? So you're only going to be there if you're trying to race somebody, and it's none of us are really pros except maybe for Terry, and we if you put us all nose to tail, everybody's going to have a fast part of the track and a slower part of the track. So if you're behind somebody, there's going to be several places they're going to hold you up, and then they might pull away from you at 2 or 3 places. And so it's that part of the strategy is when do you let them go and sit back there and just take your half-second a lap penalty or whatever, or do you force it a little and try to get by? So it's 100 minutes is a strategy thing. If you're not out in front running by yourself, then you've always got to think about not getting caught up in somebody else's issue. And I was lucky to miss 2 or 3 of those, but it was it was fun. I was like I say, I was very surprised at how close I was to the front. When I started 27th or whatever, 30 seconds back from the get-go, and then I had to for 20 minutes I was driving 2 seconds slower than I probably could go. So like I say, I was kind of shocked at the end. So, but that's the thing about endurance racing. You can't, if you get a hot lap mentality, you're not going to do well. So you try to force yourself to throttle back a little bit and be smart, which and even us virtual racing drivers is not the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely, well said. That's any of the best endurance drivers would say the same. Coming into this race, you were 5th in points. You will pop up into 4th because you were tied with Mark Dillon Jr. Getting a couple of your races that you missed dropped off your record, which will be nice to push you up further. Again, only 2 races to go after this, so we'll have 2 more that you can drop. You missed 4 races conveniently, so those 4 will all go all go off, so that'll be nice.
I think I missed more than that.
Did you? I'm checking the Daytona, VIR, Long Beach, and Monza. I think, yeah, it looks like you made all the others.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But,
I missed one after that. I don't know if it's Monza or the one after
Yeah,
that.
Monza, yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah. Okay.
But good luck with having some strong finishes in the remaining 2 races, and hope, potentially seeing you on the overall podium for the season.
Well, thanks a lot for broadcasting, guys. You are a lot of fun watching you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You have a good night, John.
Thank you, man.
That was our race winner for GTD AM, John Kelly. Now going to bring in our 3rd place finisher and championship winner, Christopher Newby. Christopher, you getting me in the booth? I don't know if you were informed or not, but that race result there does secure you as the championship winner for GTD AM in its inaugural season. So, what do you have to say about that?
Actually, no. I kind of sort of suspected it may come up, but yeah, I had no idea. No, made up. So I've really enjoyed racing in this league, and I say to win is just a cherry on top.
Certainly, this specific race was up and down. You had to really fight your way back from an early incident. You've obviously run a lot of the season up at the front. Leading laps for the GTD AM class. So what kind of different mentality do you have to be in when you have to make your way through the field from an early incident?
I'd say, initially, obviously, it depends what happens, and sometimes you can get hit and it's through no fault of your own, or you spin, and which is what happened in my case. I think sometimes you can lose confidence, and you start doubting yourself, and you'll start lifting through corners because you start to hesitate, and it plays on your mind. To be honest, it was just keep calm and just gently keep it steady, and work your way back up to getting up to speed. I had a bit of damage after I gently hit the wall, but it was only a couple of laps to the pit stop, so I just kept it steady, kept going round, and took the pit stop, took the fast repair, and got back out.
Yeah, again, I know it's not the easiest race we've had this season. Still did pick up the safety points. Tire wear was something that I think we kind of expected coming in, and we definitely witnessed from some other drivers. Did you, how was your experience with the tire wear? I don't think you took tires during the race, did you?
I kind of anticipated it was going to be a problem because I think last season it was an issue for me. I think towards the end of the race, my tires completely died, and I was struggling to take some of the the corners like the long carousel. So in the first pit stop, I took the front left tire.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of offset it slightly. So that would have been 100. I think the rest of the tires were at 90. So by the time you get to the next pit stop, they all kind of even up again. So doing that, I think was the best option. And so I got to the end and I was still setting really decent times. I think apart from the little spin I had just before the carousel, I was technically catching the 2 guys in front. Although I think the gap was a bit too big, but it still showed they had good pace.
With the final 2 races being Watkins Glen, and then we have a week off for Thanksgiving, and then Sebring, you do still have the possibility post drop weeks to have podiumed in every single counted race. Do you think that with those 2 races, you'll be able to potentially secure that record you got there?
It's possible. The 2 tracks I'm really familiar with. I know again last season Watkins Glen. I think nearly 3/4 of the race I was actually leading the whole race until my tyres died towards the end and everyone went past me. And equally, I say Sebring, I've done plenty of races there as well, so it might be able to do it.
Yeah, we're absolutely here in the booth. Very excited to watch for that. Both you and Terry having really great seasons. Terry did say, I think, that he has secured the championship as well. So 2 championships crowned here at Road America. So congratulations on a season that's been pretty dominant. Didn't take much for today for you to secure that championship, but you still got a podium to add the cherry on top. So congrats with the race today and with the championship on the season, and good luck with the remaining 2 races.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
You have a good night. That was our 3rd place finisher and season champion, Christopher Newby. And we do not have James Foreman or Paul Skip, unfortunately, in the James Foreman, sorry, Dan Real. Dan Real or Paul Skip in the booth. So that'll wrap up our interviews.
It will. All right. So we've got next week, and that'll be Watkins Glen. And you just talked about it. We'll take November break for Thanksgiving, and then we'll have our round season end at Sebring on November 30th. So about 1 week's time, we'll be here again. Any final comments?
Not just again, big congratulations to Terry and Christopher on their season so far, and it's been a great one to watch. So excited for the final 2 races.
Yeah, very well done from those two. Big congratulations, and I think we'll see you guys next week. All right, see ya.
Yep, see ya.